Right, I'm just going to come back up to this node here just so I can see the whole thing. Come out and call this, change the name, bus stop fracture. Okay, so we'll just do all the fracturing in here, and then drop another geometry node and call this, I'm going to make the collider now for this, right? So we'll dive in there, turn on the ghost other object so that we can see the bus stop. Okay, so let's start with a grid, and we'll want this on the YZ plane. Okay, I'm going to make this 2.5 by 3, right? We just want the 2 rows and 2 columns, so we don't have any polygons in the middle. Perfect. Let's move it up 1 unit. Looks good. Okay, and now let's drop a poly bevel. Okay, and I want this to work on the points. I want it to bevel each corner here, otherwise it won't. I don't think it'll do anything if I leave it. Yeah, see, unless I set it to points, it won't work. So set that to points. I want a distance of 0.5, and round is good with 10 divisions, so I get these nice round corners. Okay, and now to get some points here, let's just resample it. Okay, that's fine just as it is, I think. We can come back this to add more detail if we want later. Cool, and now drop a poly wire, which is kind of like a quick way of doing like a sweep. Okay, just kind of, you know, no fuss, simple geometry. So we can add a few more divisions there to make it a bit smoother. Let's do it up to 10. And we'll leave the rest as it is by default. Let's so we want some animation on this. Okay, I don't think we need to name any of these nodes because, you know, it's obvious what they're doing. Maybe this one. Just put anim for, you know, because we're going to be animating with this. Excuse me. So on the first frame, I'm just going to be animating it in Y. So alt click on the Y component, and then come to, I just want to do 100 frames. So we'll end on frame 100, and then come to frame 50 halfway through and set this to -1. -1, there we go. And then alt click again, so we got that very simple animation, but I don't want the we're going to have some kind of if we turn on the real time, you can see we've got some kind of smooth in and out, but since it's kind of supposed to be like it's supposed to be mechanical, I'm going to get rid of that. So just come into my animation editor, select both the keyframes, compress H to visualize, and you can see that easing in and out. Just change this to linear, press enter. Good, so that's more kind of mechanical robotic movement now, right? Cool. So I want to have 2 pieces, one going down and one going up. So if I drop a copy and transform, I'll be able to do that. So yeah, I just want the 2, but I want to move it over a little bit. There we go, so you can see it over on that side. And now if they'll just be moving up, they'll be moving together. Now if I rotate it on this axis, they'll be doing the opposite, so kind of crushing. But this one, at the beginning, you can see it's already kind of penetrating the geometry. So if I just move it down a bit, so it starts kind of just at the ground, that will be perfect. So yeah, the idea is this will be crushing down and this will be crushing up, and you know, they'll meet in the middle. So all of this geometry will have to be pressed into the middle here, and I'm going to actually move this over a bit, right? 0.5, because I want to focus on the bench, because that's the only place where there's wood. You know, we've got glass and metal everywhere else, but just so we can see the wood breaking, kind of center it over that. Okay. Also want a ground, so we can just drop a ground plane, but it'd be nice to have a ground with a hole here, you know, so for these kind of things to come out of and go into, and then some of the pieces will fall into it as well. So simply just drop another grid for the floor. Let me template that maybe and look at the floor. And so the grid, let's make it nice and big, 20 by 20, give it lots of resolution. Okay, and then we're going to blast. I'm just going to drop in the primitives. I basically deleted the primitives that you know, around here. We can turn this off now. Press spacebar and 2. Visualize. Let's get rid of this blast. And then if I come to my selection tool, let me actually visualize it here, and because I want to transform them together. Visualize that. Template this, and then select. Select these, just delete them. Perfect, and then merge them together. Cool, and then they'll move over there. Get rid of that template. Spacebar and 1 to go back, and then we have our collider. Okay, so you might notice that we have we've got concave geometry here, but since it's very simple geometry, there's not a lot of polygons here. So we can set it as a concave geometry for the collider, and it worked out fine for me. So we'll assemble it, get ready for simulating. Again, make sure that the name is different for everything you make. Okay, we'll create pack geometry with this, and make sure we transfer the name attribute onto the point, and drop a null. Yeah, call that out collider, and that's good to go.